We are counting down the 9 Canadian bread brands that truly earn their price by delivering real nutrition, simple ingredients, and honest sourcing. No corporate filler, just food you can feel good about. From nationwide loaves that make ditching white bread easy, to fresh baked artisan recipes and breads using heritage, sprouted, or even ancient grains, each brand on this list raises the bar for health and transparency. With Canadian store shelves packed with ultra-processed options, these 9 stand out for their fiber, protein, and ingredient integrity. Some you can find in every city. Others you will want to seek out on your next grocery run. Which brand claims the healthiest spot? Let us begin at number 9. Ace Bakery began in Toronto in 1993, bringing European-inspired, stone-baked loaves to Canadian shelves at a time when most bread was soft, white, and packed with additives. That early focus on real baking set Ace apart. Today, Ace is in major supermarkets nationwide, including Loblaws, Metro, and Sobeys. That makes it an accessible way to upgrade from ultra-processed bread without hunting for a specialty shop. Their whole grain loaves start with flour as the first ingredient, and you can spot seeds and grains throughout each slice. Ingredient lists stay short and familiar: flour, water, salt, yeast, and sometimes a touch of malt or wheat gluten for structure. There are no preservatives or chemical stabilizers, which means the bread stays fresh for just 3 or 4 days. Proof that it is the real thing and not a factory formula designed to last weeks. Freeze half right away to keep it longer. Nutritionally, Ace's whole grain options often deliver about 4 grams of fiber and 5 grams of protein per slice, a clear step up from the 1 gram norm in most white breads. At $5 to $6 a loaf, it is not bargain bin bread, but the price reflects better ingredients and a baking process that favors nutrition over shelf life. For anyone ready to leave Wonder Bread and Dempster's behind, Ace Bakery is the most accessible first step toward real, honest bread you can find almost anywhere in Canada. Premier Moisson started with a simple promise: bread made right in front of you, not trucked in from a distant factory. Founded in Quebec in 1992, this bakery cafe chain turned the idea of fresh baked into something you can actually see and smell. Walk into any of their locations in Quebec or Ontario, and the first thing you will notice is the working ovens visible behind the counter. Dough is shaped and proofed on site, then baked throughout the day. Loaves come out warm and crusty at nearly any hour. No frozen dough, no reheating, just real baking cycles. The ingredient list stays honest: whole wheat flour, water, sunflower seeds, flax, sesame, salt, yeast. Nothing extra, nothing hidden. Each slice typically delivers 3 to 4 grams of fiber and keeps sodium in check at 160 to 190 milligrams. Prices range from $4 to $7 depending on the loaf, but what you are paying for is the kind of freshness and flavor that mass-produced bread cannot fake. Premier Moisson's approach is rooted in traditional French-Canadian baking, where patience and process matter more than shelf life. For anyone in Quebec or Ontario, this is the clearest window into what genuine, real bread should be. Proof that real food still has a place in the grocery store. Cobb's Bread operates more than 160 bakeries across Canada, each following a strict daily cycle. They bake fresh, sell it fresh, and donate everything left at closing. Unlike most supermarket bread, nothing at Cobb's sits around for a second day. Every evening, unsold loaves and rolls are boxed up and handed to local charities and food banks, turning what could be waste into real meals for people who need them. This zero carryover policy is not just a marketing line, it is a system that keeps the bread fresher and the community stronger. The Cape Seed loaf stands out as a favorite among Canadian dietitians. Packed with sunflower, flax, sesame, and pumpkin seeds, it delivers about 5 grams of fiber per slice, more than double what you find in most standard white bread. The seeds add not just crunch and flavor, but healthy fats and protein as well. Sodium levels land in a reasonable range, usually between 170 and 200 milligrams per slice, making it a solid choice for heart health. Cobb's model makes real bread accessible to more Canadians, whether you are in Vancouver, Toronto, or a small town in between. Prices run up to $7 a loaf, but what you are getting is bread that was baked just hours before you buy it, with no preservatives to stretch the shelf life. The short window for peak freshness encourages freezing what you will not eat in a day or two. This approach does not just improve nutrition, it helps reduce food waste and supports local food rescue efforts. For anyone searching for a better everyday bread, Cobb's proves that freshness and social responsibility can go hand in hand on a national scale. Stone Mill Bakehouse stands out in the Canadian bread aisle for its commitment to sprouted grains and clean label preservation. Based in Toronto, Stone Mill starts with whole grains soaked and sprouted before baking. Sprouting activates enzymes that break down phytic acid, a natural compound in grains that can block mineral absorption. The result is bread with more available iron, zinc, and magnesium, along with a boost in vitamin C and folate. Each slice from their sprouted grain line typically delivers around 5 grams of fiber, making it one of the densest sources of dietary fiber among mainstream Canadian breads. What makes Stone Mill different is how it keeps bread fresh without synthetic preservatives. Instead of using chemicals like calcium propionate, they add cultured wheat, a fermented wheat flour that naturally inhibits mold growth. This method extends the bread's life in the fridge to 7 to 10 days, far longer than most preservative-free loaves, while keeping the ingredient list short and familiar. You will see the phrase, "keep refrigerated," right on the label, a cue that Stone Mill's approach is rooted in real food science, not shelf life engineering. Stone Mill's sprouted breads are easy to find at major grocers across Canada, usually priced between $5 and $6 a loaf. For shoppers looking for nutrition and transparency, Stone Mill offers a practical way to get the benefits of sprouted grains and a longer-lasting loaf without the trade-offs of artificial additives. This focus on natural preservation sets up the next level: breads that use long fermentation, not just sprouting, to transform how we digest and enjoy grains. Little Stream Bakery in rural Ontario takes bread back to basics, relying on time, not tricks, to make loaves that are both gentle on the stomach and rich in nutrition. Every batch starts with just 4 ingredients: certified organic whole grain flour, water, sea salt, and a sourdough starter that has been nurtured for years. There is no commercial yeast, no added sugars, and nothing you cannot pronounce. Just the essentials left to ferment for up to 24 hours. This slow sourdough process is not just about flavor. As the dough rests, natural bacteria and wild yeasts break down gluten and FODMAPs, making the bread easier to digest for many people who struggle with conventional wheat. Research shows that long fermentation also reduces phytates, unlocking more of the iron, zinc, and magnesium found in whole grains. The result is a loaf with 3 to 4 grams of fiber per slice and sodium levels that hover around 160 milligrams. That nutritional profile stands out in a market crowded with quick rise, additive-heavy options. Little Stream's commitment to organic certification is visible on every package. The bakery's methods echo traditional European baking, where patience is essential and every loaf is shaped by hand. At $7 to $9 a loaf, it is not the cheapest bread on the shelf, and you will mostly find it in health food stores and specialty grocers. But for anyone seeking bread that is as simple as it is satisfying, Little Stream proves that fewer ingredients and more time can make all the difference, especially for people hoping for a loaf their GUT can actually handle. True grain bread operates on a principle that is rare in Canadian baking. Flour should be milled on site, just hours before it is mixed into dough. At their bakeries on Vancouver Island and in the Okanagan, whole grains like spelt, einkorn, and red fife arrive from organic farms and go straight into stone mills. This fresh milled approach preserves nutrients like vitamin E and B vitamins, which can degrade quickly once a grain is ground. It also locks in the flavor and aroma that make ancient grains stand out, offering a taste that is earthy and complex. Each loaf typically delivers 4 to 5 grams of fiber and up to 6 grams of protein per slice, reflecting the density and integrity of whole, unstripped grain. True Grain's short ingredient lists, often just flour, water, salt, and yeast, underscore their focus on real food, not additives. The trade-off for this freshness is shelf life. Loaves last only 2 to 3 days at room temperature, a direct result of the absence of preservatives and the higher oil content from the whole grain germ. Prices range from $6 to $8, and availability is centered in British Columbia and Alberta. For anyone seeking bread that connects nutrition, biodiversity, and regional agriculture, True Grain's fresh milled model shows what is possible when every step, from farm to oven, is kept close to home. Canada's bread story is not just about freshness or fiber, it is also about what gets planted in the first place. While most supermarket loaves rely on modern wheat bred for yield and uniformity, a handful of bakeries have turned back to heritage grain varieties that once shaped Canadian fields. Red fife and turkey. Red wheat trace their roots to the 19th century, when flavor, nutrition, and resilience to Canadian weather mattered more than industrial efficiency. These grains nearly vanished as commercial agriculture shifted toward high-output hybrids, but a quiet revival is underway. Small-scale bakeries and regional mills are working directly with local farmers to grow, harvest, and mill these older varieties, often on a first-name basis. The result is more than just a unique taste. Heritage wheats tend to deliver a richer, nuttier flavor and a denser crumb, with nutritional profiles that can edge ahead of conventional bread wheat. Loaves made from these grains regularly offer 4 to 5 grams of fiber and up to 7 grams of protein per slice, with sodium kept in check between 140 and 180 milligrams. Pricing usually lands in the $8 to $10 range, reflecting the realities of small batch production and the higher cost of growing less common crops. Beyond the numbers, every loaf supports a broader effort to preserve biodiversity in Canadian agriculture. By choosing heritage grain bread, shoppers are not just buying nutrition, they are helping keep rare wheat varieties in the ground and supporting a network of farmers who believe in more than just the bottom line. For anyone who wants their food dollar to count toward healthier diets and healthier farmland, heritage grain bakeries offer a real, tangible way to make bread a force for good. Across Canada, the story of bread is also the story of land, culture, and resilience. Nowhere is this more vivid than in the movement to reclaim Indigenous food traditions, where every loaf can be an act of restoration. The three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, have been grown together for centuries, their roots tangled in a partnership that turns 3 basic crops into a complete protein. This ancient agricultural system, developed by Indigenous communities long before supermarkets and supply chains, balances nutrients and enriches the soil, creating harvests that nourish both body and land. Wild rice, also called manumin, is another grain native to Canada's lakes and rivers. Unlike modern wheat, wild rice thrives in wetlands, drawing its strength from the rhythms of northern climates. It is higher in protein than most grains and brings a nutty, mineral-rich flavor to bread. When corn, beans, squash, and wild rice are combined in a single loaf, The result is a bread with up to 6 or 7 grams of protein per slice. Dense, filling, and deeply rooted in the place it comes from. Fiber content is between 4 and 6 grams, and sodium stays moderate, usually around 150 to 170 milligrams, making these loaves a practical choice for heart health as well as heritage. Indigenous-led bakeries and food projects that champion these grains are not just baking, they are rebuilding food sovereignty, one batch at a time. Each loaf represents a step toward reclaiming control over what gets grown, how it is processed, and who benefits. For shoppers, picking up a bread made with Three Sisters crops or wild rice is not just about nutrition. It is about supporting a living tradition and fueling a movement that connects food with identity and self-determination. At $7 to $9 per loaf, these breads reflect the true cost of small-scale, ethical production. Distribution is growing, especially in Ontario, as more Canadians look for food that tastes of place and carries meaning beyond the label. For anyone seeking a bread that delivers on health, history, and hope, Indigenous grain loaves offer a powerful and delicious alternative. Silver Hills Sprouted Power stands out on Canadian shelves for one simple reason. It delivers more real nutrition per slice than almost any bread you can buy, and it does it without compromise. Every loaf starts with organic sprouted whole grains and seeds listed clearly on the label. Sprouted whole wheat, sunflower, flax, sesame, pumpkin seeds, and cracked wheat. The ingredient count never goes past 10, and each ingredient is familiar, pronounceable, and there for a purpose. There are no preservatives, no fillers, and no chemical shortcuts. Silver Hills relies on the natural power of sprouting to unlock more from each grain. Sprouting is not a marketing buzzword here. Soaking and germinating activates enzymes that break down phytic acid, a natural compound that can block the absorption of minerals like iron and zinc. Once sprouted, these grains offer more available vitamins, including vitamin C and folate, and their starches become easier to digest. For anyone who has ever felt weighed down by regular bread, the difference is noticeable. The result is that each slice of Silver Hills packs in 5 grams of fiber, which is 5 times more than most white breads, and 6 grams of protein, with sodium kept to a modest 160 milligrams. The numbers tell the story. A standard loaf costs $6.99, which works out to about 44 cents per slice. But the real surprise comes when you break down the cost per gram of fiber. At 9 cents per gram of fiber, Silver Hills beats out many cheaper breads that only look like a bargain. In practice, you would need to eat 5 slices of many white breads to match the fiber in 1 slice of Silver Hills. That is not just better value, it is a smarter investment in your own health. National distribution means you can find Silver Hills at nearly every major grocery chain in Canada, from Loblaws and Sobeys to Safeway and Save-On-Foods. It is one of the few premium breads that does not require a trip to a specialty shop or a farmer's market. The only catch is that without preservatives, a loaf will last just a few days at room temperature. The label recommends refrigeration or freezing, a small adjustment that signals you are dealing with real food, not a shelf-stable imitation. For anyone looking to make one change that delivers on nutrition, taste, and convenience, Silver Hills Sprouted Power is the clear winner. It proves that the best bread is not just for foodies or health nuts. It is available to everyone, everywhere, and it is worth every bite. Across all 9 bread brands, one pattern stands out. Real nutrition comes from real ingredients and transparent methods, not industrial shortcuts. In a market where most bread falls short on fiber and relies on preservatives, these brands prove quality is possible and even accessible for Canadians. Choosing better bread is not just about taste, it is an investment in your health. Which brand are you most excited to try? Let us know below.